Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. Today's stories includes relationship issues, DNA test, toxic partners, suspicions of cheating, crazy demands, problems with roommates and entitled people. Let's start. Am I the idiot for snapping at my wife and calling her crazy because she wants me to take a paternity test for my nephew? Throwaway account for obvious reasons. My wife and I have been married for 10 years and together for 14, we are child-free. I also have a nephew who's currently 13, and I'm not going to lie, he looks a lot like me and has a lot of the same facial features as me. I am really proud of him and we have a close bond. I have played a father-like role in his life since he was a kid. He has a deadbeat father, and my sister divorced him long ago. A couple of my family members have commented on how my nephew looks a lot like me. And while I initially thought it was wholesome, my wife for some reason became very insecure and started getting doubts. She was questioning why I needed to play such a prominent role in my nephew's life, why my nephew had autism, etc. The insinuations just became weird and made me uncomfortable. I do agree that my sister has played some part in my wife's insecurities because of her dry humor. During family gatherings, my sister jokes a lot about how wholesome it is that her son looks like me, and that she couldn't be happier. It's obviously a joke, but I spoke to my sister and asked if she could tone it down a bit, because it was making my wife a bit crazy. He's your nephew, that shouldn't bother her. However, last night, my wife asked if I could take a paternity test, just for her peace of mind. That's when I finally snapped and called her crazy and that marrying her was the biggest mistake of my life. I did immediately regret saying it, because I meant none of it. My wife is the love of my life. But my wife got quiet and started crying shortly after and I had to console her. Was I the a-hole? Oh my god, what did I just read? What's wrong with OP's wife? Not only did she accuse him of cheating, but she also accused him of cheating on her with his own sister. What the hell? OP, your wife needs help. It's one thing if she doesn't like you spending so much time with your sister and nephew, it's another to accuse you of that. Good God. Your wife needs to stop watching so much TV. She probably watched too many Lifetime movies, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, or whatever, and these stories are mixing with her reality. And with the issues must already have in relation to your sister, she made up this crazy story in her head. It's time for her to end this flowers in the attic fanfic that she created for your lives. Why couldn't she just accuse you of having an affair with the neighbor or someone at work? Why she have to bring your sister into this story? She is sick. Also, I'm not surprised that your sister likes that her son looks like you. You said that his father is a deadbeat, who is probably not in his life, so it makes sense that your sister appreciates that every time she looks at her son, he doesn't remind her of her ex. And what did you guys think of OP's wife's request? What would you do in his place? Would you do the test? Let's read what the comments advised to OP. Before we go to the update. Not the idiot, of course he has your genes, from your sister, not from you. Jesus, send her to a biology class. Sorry, but if someone accuses me of sleeping with my sibling, I'm gonna say some kinda something to them, it won't be pretty. She doesn't get to cry and act like she did nothing wrong. Not the idiot, and love of your life or not, your wife thinks you slept with your sister. How do you come back from that? Truth. An accusation of ordinary cheating is bad enough for a marriage, and can definitely justify some not-so-nice words. Throw incest into the mix, and yeah, OP's wife is definitely in the wrong here. She needs to pull her head out of her ass and apologize, then probably seek therapy. She thinks you had a baby with your own sister? Not your brother's wife or anything, but your own sister? No, that is crazy. Wait, what? So your wife is insinuating not only that you had sex with your sister, but that you fathered a child with her? OMG. I would also snap if my partner's mind was so effing twisted. Has the wife ever heard of genetics? You should divorce her solely on the grounds of stupidity, but demanding a paternity test is an indication that she thinks you are capable of the unthinkable. Not the idiot. And what did you think of the comments? Do you agree with them? Do you have anything else to advise to OP? Now let's read the first update. Update: am I the idiot for snapping at my wife and calling her crazy because she wants me to take a paternity test for my nephew? Hey everyone, quick update. The gist of it is that I've agreed to take the test, but under certain conditions. I understand my wife is being paranoid and delusional, but I want to take the test just to ease whatever irrational fears she has. Sometimes these fears have no logic, and I too have had some irrational fears before, and there was no logic in them. Dude, I understand having illogical fears, but thinking that your husband cheated on you with his sister and fathered his nephew, that's a new level of insane. I spoke to my sister about it today, and she was obviously pretty angry at my wife. With reason. However, my sister and I discussed it at length, and she agreed to the test under certain conditions. I spoke to my wife after and told her I would take the test under some conditions. My wife was very happy that I had agreed to take the test, and I then told her the conditions. The first condition being that she had to stop these insinuations immediately. My wife immediately agreed to it. The second condition being that there were going to be no more arguments on me spending time with my sister and nephew. My wife and I have had some arguments over the years where she asks why I spend so much time at their house. My wife agreed to the condition, although she took some time to think about it. The third and final condition was that I had liberty to go on vacations with my sister and my nephew, without my wife being there. I told my wife up front that my sister doesn't want her to come on these vacations anymore. My wife was a bit more hesitant on this, but she ultimately agreed to it. That's probably my final update. Thanks everyone for the advice. LOL, dude, it's not gonna matter what the test says. Your wife has an irrational delusion in her head and will go through whatever mental gymnastics she needs to justify it. The test is not going to help. If anything, it's going to get worse, especially based on the conditions you set. I told my sister this, but if this doesn't work, I'm going to look into divorce. Your wife will be lucky if she gets out in one piece the next time she sees your sister. I'm also curious on how she's going to face the rest of OP's family from now on, because rest assured, the sister won't be quiet about this. OP's wife will suffer the consequences, and I'm not just talking about the vacations. Also, I'm surprised that none of OP's conditions includes therapy for his wife. This woman needs help, urgent. And what did you guys think of this update? Now let's go to the final update. Update 2, am I the idiot for snapping at my wife and calling her crazy because she wants me to take a paternity test for my nephew? The results did come back and it was as expected. However, my wife went back on her word and asked if I could revert the conditions, and I just told her straight up that I would look into divorce if she kept going on like this. My wife then freaked out and started crying and asked why I prefer my sister more. She asked if it was because she was unable to give me a baby. My wife has struggled with infertility, and I had to calm her down and tell her I was obviously not going to divorce her, but to just relax. I told her to keep a cool head and think rationally, and that she had to accept sooner rather than later that my sister and my nephew were always going to be my family. I also told her to look into individual therapy, like many people in my last post recommended. My wife was surprisingly very open to it, and she accepted she was being irrational, but she was just afraid of losing me. So anyways, that's my final update. I think we are making good progress, and therapy should hopefully resolve whatever issues my wife is going through. Sorry dude, I'm sorry that she is struggling with insecurities about your relationship and her infertility issues, but nothing justifies her accusing you of having an affair with your sister. I really hope someone can help this woman. This won't be your final update, I can assure you. So, she thinks you got your sister pregnant? It's okay, therapy will fix everything, #sarcasm. I think we are making good progress. She got what she wanted, was still unhappy and is now shifting goalposts again? I wouldn't call that progress, at least not for you or a future towards a healthy relationship. And what did you guys think of the final update? Do you think this is the end of the story? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Oh, and I hope you are enjoying the video so far. If so, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. Now let's go to the next story. Am I the idiot for not wanting to switch rooms with a new disabled roommate? Throwaway, because I'm pretty sure my roommates know my account names. So, I live in your standard crap student house, with a terrible layout. It's a 5-bedroom house, with my 3 roommates upstairs, and 2 bedrooms downstairs, one being fairly big and one about half the size. The big one is mine, it's a reconverted living room, and it's right at the front of the house. So I get first dibs on being broken into, I guess, and it's loud as hell, because it's next to the road. When my roommates and I moved in, they didn't want to live on the bottom floor, and I wasn't bothered, so it worked out. The 5th little bedroom has been empty thus far. It's in our contract as a storage room, but our landlord offered us reduced rent if we were to have an extra tenant. Housing in our area is very scarce, and we, being broke students, were like, yeah, sure, whatever. So, someone came and looked at the house, the room, and is going to be signing for it. We didn't meet them, but they're planning to move soonish, as far as I know. The problem is, the landlord contacted us today to ask if any of us would be okay to switch rooms, because the new person is disabled and can't have such a small room. We haven't been given any other details, apart from physically disabled, so my roommates upstairs all went, well, they might not be able to get up the stairs, so you should be the one to move rooms. The issue is, I really do not want to move rooms. The spare room is crap, which is why it was deemed the spare room, and I love my room. I've signed on to this house for another year, and I signed based on my nice room and being in my nice room. I have a big reptile tank, a dressing table and shit. I've done my best to make a terrible student room into a place that I actually like spending time in, and I'm not prepared to give it up. We haven't got back to the landlord with a decision yet, but my roommates are saying that if it were them that needed to give up their room, of course they would. Okay, but that's very easy to say, isn't it? And then I'm being an ass for not doing it. Yeah, they are lying, they wouldn't change their room either. I really feel for this new person, especially if they're physically disabled and need the extra space, and especially since housing is so difficult to get right now, but I don't want to lose my nice room. Am I the idiot? Should I just suck it up a bit for the next year, and switch rooms? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I don't want to or plan to switch rooms with a new roommate, despite them being physically disabled, and it being pretty much the only option for them. OP gives more info in the comments. It was originally advertised as a 5th bedroom when we moved in, but there was no furniture in it, in the small room, apart from a desk, and they couldn't find anyone to take it at the time, so it was written into the contract as a storage room, with the promise that there wouldn't randomly be someone moved in without us okaying it. But it is literally so small. All the rooms came with furniture of a desk, double bed, wardrobe, dresser, and bedside cabinet, and there is no way you could fit those all in there. I'm thinking too that the landlord made it seem like we'd already agreed to move rooms, or that our new roommate could have their pick, but honestly I couldn't imagine looking for housing right now. There's nothing, and classes are meant to start next week, January intake, so they may truly be taking literally anything. I think the drop in rent for everyone is just because there would be an extra person about. The landlord gets more money overall, so we pay less individually. But he still gets more rent. We all pay rent individually, but it is just an equally split cost. Honestly, I don't need the extra money too badly. I have a job, enough student loan to cover everything. Not like comfortably, but it's student living lol, but the rest of my housemates could probably really use it. I think the rooms we occupy, they're numbered, might even be written into the contract? I should check, I don't know. I do want to tell the landlord no, and I know I'm fully within my rights to do that, but my roommates will definitely think of me as a major a-hole if I don't switch, an even bigger a-hole if the new tenant walks away and we don't get the lowered rent. Okay, first and foremost, you are not the idiot here. Your housemates are, and they are also being selfish, and let's be honest, liars, because if it were any of them in your place, they wouldn't trade the bigger room for something that's compared to a closet. But the big idiot here is the landlord. He knew that this was the only room available, and he allowed this person to move in when they already said, in advance, that they couldn't stay in that room. His response should be, okay, I'm sorry, but this is the only room available. Or speak to you guys first, to find out if anyone would change rooms, before confirming that the new tenant could move in. You are not wrong to be upset and to refuse to change rooms. And I understand your housemates might be frustrated that there won't be a rent decrease, but you are not the idiot, not at all. And what do you guys think about this situation? What would you do if you were OP? Now let's see what the comments say. Not the idiot, the agreement was to rent out the unclaimed room, not an occupied room. While it stinks for the person who wants to move in, you're not obligated to give up your space for someone who isn't on the lease yet. The landlord should have been clear with any prospective tenants about which room was actually available. Agree, it really shouldn't have even gone this far in the rental/application process to begin with. The new potential tenant toured the house and the available room. It either works for them or doesn't. Not sure why the landlord is asking for additional accommodations on this, as it's not a whole house lease, and this was the room available, and I assume advertised for rent. No idiots here, your landlord can ask, but as long as they take no for an answer, they're not an idiot. Nor are you an idiot for not giving up your personal living arrangements for a stranger, and that same stranger is not an idiot for having needs either. But having needs does not entitle them to shuffle your life and living arrangement around either. The friends are idiots though. They're not having to give anything up, but get a reduction in rent. Maybe if they care so much, one of them should move to the spare room and give OP theirs? Not the idiot, your landlord is trying to squeeze more profit out of the house by renting out a room that isn't really a valid living space. There's no reason why you should have to sacrifice what you have already set up and squeeze into a tiny, unsuitable space. The landlord needs to just confess that he does not have a room suitable to that student's needs. If your roommates are so engaged in the idea, one of them can move downstairs into the tiny room and give you their upper floor room. Otherwise, they should put a sock in it. And what about you guys? Do you agree with the comments? What would you do if you were OP? Would you change rooms with the new roommate or not? Do you think OP is being the idiot here? Or do you agree with him? And how would you deal with the landlord and the other roommates? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. And that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.